content is life-changing, and you have to surround yourself with people that are saying things that's relevant, that's pertinent. And when the higher you go up in life, and when you surround yourself with people that are moving to the next level, they oftentimes don't have time to repeat the same thing over and over again. So therefore, it's going to take your best listening skills. You know, if you had a session, say if you're a business person and you had a 10-minute session with, if you're a real estate developer and you were fortunate to have a meeting with Donald Trump, and he says, "I'll give you 7 minutes." I promise you would probably bring your tape recorder, you would bring a notepad, you would bring everything you could, because those would probably be the 7 most important minutes of your life, because you realize that he has something that's detrimental that can change your future. That's the same thing I'm talking about, that every person that you meet, you should have the same intensity, the same enthusiasm, willing to say, you know what, let me just listen, because this person has a story. They have something that they're saying something that can benefit me in a special way. Well, when you're talking about resisting distraction, there's another, as we go a little deeper, to sharpen your listening skills, you have to learn to exercise your mind. And that's huge. Great listeners have learned to expand their mind. They've learned to do things that allow them to think outside the box. The poor listener resists difficult material. They seek light and recreational material. See, the poor listener rarely or seldom like to be changed, or like to be challenged, what should I say? If you're going to become a good listener, you have to not resist difficult things. You have to be willing to step into arenas that challenges you, that causes you to go deeper. And when you go deeper, you're developing yourself, you're developing your mind. A good listener uses heavier material as exercise for their mind. I mean, they read things that they haven't read in a long time. They're readers. Good listeners are readers, because the more you expose yourself to, the larger the smaller the world becomes when you expose yourself to certain things. When you expose to things that will stretch your mind, that will stretch your creativity. Great listeners do that. They're not afraid to stretch themselves. They're not afraid to step outside the box, and they're not afraid to do things that they've never done before. Oftentimes when you're in a different arena and you meet a person that you never met before, the best way to not be uncomfortable is to listen to what they say. You don't have to be the center of attention. You don't have to know it all. Just know how to answer questions, but stretch yourself. Don't be afraid of the difficult. Don't be afraid of the challenge. The challenge is what makes you stronger. The challenge is what allows you to grow. It's amazing that when you look at yourself now, and from where you were 10 years ago or 20 years ago, there should be a significant growth in your life. Listening allows you to grow. It allows you to see people for where they really are. When you can tell exactly where a person's headed if you listen to their conversation long enough. If you listen to what they're saying, they will point you to their destiny. They'll point you to what's important to them. They will point you to their habits, whether good or bad. They will point you to their likes and dislikes if you listen close enough. If you listen close enough, you can find the answer. If you listen close enough, you can find the reason. But oftentimes we don't listen because maybe we don't want the answer. We don't really want to deal with the truth. But listening is the greatest form of communication. Keep your mind open. Poor listeners react to emotional words. Poor listeners, they react, and we cannot be in the reacting mode. We cannot just continually reacting to things. Good listeners interpret emotional words does not get hung up on them. I found that hurt people, people that are struggling with who they are, oftentimes deliver words that are strong, words that are spiteful, is because they have their own personal struggles. When I hear people talking foul and swearing, I realize that there's something wrong with them. There's something missing inside of them. They have a short vocabulary. They haven't expanded their minds yet. And so I understand, what's happening when I hear people like that. Thought is faster than speech. Use it. Poor listeners tend to daydream with slow speakers. The good listener challenges, anticipates, mentally summarizes, weighs the evidence. So good listeners, they weigh the evidence. They summarize what's going on, and they don't get emotional. They don't get upset. They don't jump into things too soon. They take their time. We're going to switch over to the last part of our show. I'm excited about that. And as we get ready to switch over to the last part of our show, there's a couple of things that I want to talk about that will be a benefit to you. And I'm glad that you're here. If you want to this week, make sure that you send me questions through internet. My email is amvandyke@aol.com. You can send questions. You can make comments about the show. Tell me, you can maybe even suggest topics that you want to hear next Sunday. So make sure you send me an email at amvandyke@aol.com. You can also hit me up on Twitter and Facebook as well. There's so many ways to contact me. But the last thing I want to talk about is that learning by listening. You can learn by listening. You can learn a lot through listening. That's very important. You must become an active listener. You must sit down. You must practice the habits of paying attention. That is the key. Are you willing to pay attention? Are you a person that's going to pay attention to the things around you? Also, listening, you must also listen to the nonverbal. It might seem crazy. If you might want to listen to the nonverbal. While you're listening, also keep an eye open and watch what people do. People will communicate with you through their actions. My college coach would always tell us, your actions are speaking so loud, I can't hear what you're saying. You want to listen, but also you want to look for, you want to watch behaviors. Because good communicators understand that behaviors and words should correlate. If the behavior and words correlate, the content of the message oftentimes is valid and it's worth holding on to. You have to be careful and make sure that you know the package from which the words come. If I'm going to give great advice, I need to make sure that the person that's giving it is qualified, certified to give it to me, because I want to make sure that this advice will last. That it's not something that's giving me off just the side, or they're just coming up with something just to fill a void. I want to make sure that the information they're giving me is quality information. It's very, very important that they do that. Well, I just want to give you an update on the Power of Words. As you know, on Wednesday this past week, the Power of Words was released on ebook, and the Power of Words have just taken off. The book is doing tremendous, and people are buying it. And we know that October the 1st is when the hard copy will come to every major bookstore in America. But before the hard copy comes out, the ebook has been released, and people are reading it, and they're excited about it. And I'm hearing that people want to go from day 1 to day 2 in the same reading. The way this book is designed, the Power of Words, is that you can only read 1 chapter a day, or just like 3 or 4 pages, and each day is designed to move you to the next level of thinking. each day is designed for you to read a short segment to ponder on that thought of today, and then it prepares you for the next day and for the next day and for the next day, because the power of words is a 31-day journey designed to change your outlook on life and designed to transform your thinking. So the power of words, you can find it on Amazon. You can go to Barnes & Noble and download it on your Kindle Nook. And if you don't have a Kindle Nook, there are all kinds of apps that you can download that you can just get it on all over the internet. You can get it on your iPhone or your Android. They've made it so easy and so convenient for you to get the book. I'm excited about it because we know that this book will become, or this ebook also will become, a bestseller, and that's the goal. Is because the more you read the book, it will transform your life, and it'll transform other people's lives. Well, you might say, well, I'm in pretty good shape. My vocabulary is good. Well, also what I'm finding that people are doing. There's one gentleman I know that purchased the book, and he now, once he got it, he ordered 3 copies, and he emailed them or gave them as gifts to other people. So you can also take the power of words and give them as gifts to other people. So if you will, you can just Google the power of words, Anthony Van Dyke, and it will take you to Barnes & Noble. It'll take you to Amazon, and you can go and download the ebook, and each day you can start reading it. And then there is, at the end of each week, you're asked to write down or to summarize your week and what you learned from the book. So I'm walking you step by step through the book and teaching you different things on what you can, so you can change your vocabulary, so that you can change your outlook on life. Well, I'm excited about coming back to you next week. The greatest form of communication is listening. Make sure that this week, when you're in conversation, you're listening to people, that you're really listening, that you're really concerned with what they have to say and how they're saying it. Listening is the greatest form of communication. Oftentimes, successful people are great listeners. They understand what's going on. They take heart into what people are saying. Slow down a little bit. Take your time. Stop being in such a hurry. Take time to listen to those that are close to you. I want to challenge you that if you listen, you just might learn something. Remember, there's power in words. There's power in words, and everything that you do makes a difference in somebody's life. We're excited about this show. Please tell somebody about it. We will see you next week, next time. So download the episode, save it to your iPod, MP3 player. We will talk to you next week. And remember, there's power in words, and start listening to what people are saying. You might just learn something. Have a great day. Bye-bye.